Good evening, race fans, and welcome into another episode of Horsepower Happenings. He's back. Happy Cinco de Mayo. He came back just in time for another margarita. Cheers to you, my friend. It's Rich French.
Cheers.
We'll get him in for just a moment, in just a moment. But first, here's what's happening in a Motor City Minute. In the world of NASCAR, the Cup Series was at Texas over the weekend. Joey Logano gets the win. He held off Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Eric Jones make up your top five. And by the way, congratulations to Carson Hocevar, who qualified on the pole for that race. The race, though, did not play out the way that team would hope it did. Xfinity Series, they were also in action. Kyle Larson gets the win. Taylor Gray in second, Riley Herbst, Austin Hill, and Sam Mayer round out the top five in the Xfinity Series. Truck Series has been off since Rockingham. Elsewhere, Cole Butcher dominated the North-South Super Late Model Challenge 100 for the ASA Southern Super Series and ASA CRA Super Series at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on Sunday. That was his third Super Late Model win of 2025, and glad they were able to get that one in. Rain in the area all weekend for Nashville. Rico Abreu beat Kyle Larson in a nonstop bout through traffic at Texas over the weekend, and Rico got the lead on lap number one, never looked back after a great restart. And Nick Hoffman picked up his first World of Outlaws trophy of 2025 in the finale of the Dairyland Showdown at Mississippi Thunder Speedway up in Minnesota. So that'll do it for the Motor City Minute. Good evening, welcome in. Not Minnesota. Fountain City, Wisconsin is what I meant. That'll do it. Welcome in. Rich France from across the way. How are you, sir?
I wish it was Oktoberfest, not Cinco de Mayo today.
You had a great little vacation there last week, chasing a little white ball around the yard, didn't you?
Yeah, went down to Myrtle Beach with 19 of my best friends and played golf for 6 straight days and drank way too many margaritas than I deserve. And now I show up on Monday and it's like, Zach, you say, hey, guess what? It's
Cinco
Cinco
de
de Mayo.
Mayo.
Like, oh no.
You know what? I married into a heritage family, into a Hispanic heritage family, and so we had some homemade crunch wraps, and the wife made me a margarita, and it would be rude if I only had one, Rich, so I had to have another for the show.
Yeah, so I said if Zach can do it, I can belly up and do one too. So why not?
Well, Rich, we're finally back into this segment. I loved last year that you kind of picked up on this thing and just kind of a recap of everything that happened in Michigan over the weekend. This is your local winners from the weekend segment, and then we'll talk about them and go into our power rankings as well.
Yeah, it's been kind of slow going up till now, but it looked like everybody's been in action, right? So I had a whole lot to choose from. And I figured seeing we had the chance, Zach, we'll just hit a bunch of different racetracks. Sound good to you?
That works for me.
We'll kick things off. Let's start off on Friday at I-96 Speedway. Logan Nickerson, Brandon Thurlby grabbed the dual late model features. You say, oh, dual late model features. Well, yep, they didn't get the late model feature in from last Friday due to the rain. So they ran it out of the gate first. And so Logan Nickerson grabbed the UMP late model feature at I-96 with Brandon Thurlby picking up the regular one. And Austin Hardick would take the IMC modified win. And Zach, I'm going to read this one. Then we can talk about Mr. Nickerson.
Yep.
Then he locked down two in a row on the weekend on Saturday at Crystal Motor Speedway in a capital S spectacular finish with Travis Stemler.
Yes, it was.
Yep. And Bree Wonch, who we'll talk to in just a little bit, took her first ever modified win, the modified feature, Crystal.
3 drivers in the state of Michigan, Rich, have won 2 feature events so far in 2025 as we look into the Domination Race Cars Dirt Late Model Power Rankings. Logan Nickerson, Brandon Thurlby, and Bill Bray, who has won the first 2 shows over at Thunderbird Raceway. And because of that, the Domination Race Cars Power Rankings is very, very enticing right now. Logan Nickerson at the top of the board, 42 points. Then Brandon Thurlby, 10 points behind with 32. Travis Stemler with 31. Derek Hilliker with 29 to make up the top 4. And then Mike Vandermark Jr. rounds out the top 5, tied with Eric Spangler at 21 points apiece, Rich. Early dirt late model power rankings are tight. And how about Logan Nickerson coming out of the box, ready to rock? 5 shows, 5 top 5s, and 2 feature wins for that young man.
Yeah, 2 firsts this weekend and a second to Brandon Thurlby in the main feature on 996. And I thought he wasn't going to be racing all the time, now that he's now that he's a proud papa and he's got those babies at home, going on.
Well, it's funny what winning will do to you, isn't it?
Yeah, just keep going, right? Just keep going. But Yeah, he's got a very fast race car early in 2025.
Yeah, the full power rankings will be posted later this week for the Domination Race Cars Dirt Late Model Power Rankings. Rich, what else happened over the weekend?
Well, let's stay on Friday night. Nick Lakota would take the modified feature win at Birch Run Speedway at their opener. Jump over to Flat Rock on Saturday. Paul Pelletier would come from 11th to take the 50-lap season opener at Flat Rock Speedway for the Outlaw Super Late Models. Greg Stute would take the Street Stocks. And Zach, we thought we might get a track record. We didn't know. We thought it might take a couple weeks.
Okay.
2 drivers almost broke the track record at
Ah.
Flat Rock on opening night. One was, I don't know how to properly say this, 1,000th away from breaking the 26-year-old track record in the street stocks. And Paul Pelletier was 4/100ths away from breaking the track record on opening night in the Outlaw Super Late Models. Outlaw Super Late Models typically run high 11s, 11.7s, 11.8s, 11.9s. Paul Pelletier on a track that was not fast. It was a cool night. It was windy. 11.16.
Do we see a 10.9 for the new record?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's coming.
All right. Wow.
We had a 12-second lap in the street stocks. Wasn't quite fast. Just wasn't quite fast enough.
Cool. How did you? I wanted to ask you. I saw some video. Looked racy in the street stocks. What was your take of the new asphalt on week 1?
It was great. It makes a lot of noise because a lot of squeal under the tires.
A lot of yeah.
A lot of squeal under the tires. But we got a couple of big events coming up in the next couple of weeks. Not this week, but the week after. We got the ARCA Menards East Series coming in for 150 laps. They're going to put some rubber down on that racetrack, absolutely. And then we follow that up. That's where I think the track records are going to fall at the Joy Fair Memorial 100.
All right.
That's when I think it's going to happen. You're going to see multiple cars, I think, in my opinion, at that time, Outlaw Super Late Models that'll break the track record at Flat Rock.
Why don't you give us the other Outlaw race for the weekend, and then we'll talk power rankings.
Yeah, well, this is really a big surprise, right, Zach? Tyler Rohrig, he would come from 12th. I followed him up with Pelletier's performance. That's the only thing that put Rohrig at the top of the power rankings is he came one more spot to win the race.
Right.
Otherwise, they got the same amount of points. He took the feature, the Reveal the Hammer opener at Berlin Raceway on Saturday. And Zach, in your backyard, Darren Nida, pretty
Let
cool.
Me tell you about that, Rich France. I put the fan mode cap on Saturday and made the.
Were you rooting for that young man?
I made the long haul to Butler Motor Speedway, and Darren started on the pin. 24 cars on the property after the rain out at Eldora. 24 cars on the property, so they ran a B main, send a couple guys home. Darren Nida started on the pin, and Casey Jetterzek started behind him in 3rd. Gosh, Sean Rahal, I think, started 4th, and it was Thomas Schinderly who started on the outside front row. I was doing that all from memory. And Jay Steinbach was sitting next to me and my brother-in-law, Doug, and I told them both, I said, if this race has a caution or 2, Darren Nida wins. If it goes green to checker, give me Casey Jetterzek. And wow, 2 caution flags. Darren Nida, I'm going to pull this up. Well, actually, I can't tell you what it was. Darren Nida beat Bryce Lucius to the line, Rich, by, I don't know, a wheel to get the win in a 2 caution race. And Bryce Lucius came from 8th. So that track was racy, heavy lap traffic, kind of a dirty track, looking for grip, right? First race of the year type thing. What a show Saturday at Butler. I cannot wait to take my Great Lakes Super Sprints there in June because that product on Saturday was fantastic. Great job to Darren. Kind of another satellite team of Rhino Racing. Phil's engine was in that car. So it was pretty cool to be down there talking with Jason and those guys. And Phil was ecstatic that 7N went to victory lane. And he beat some stout competition to do it. So keep an eye on Darren on the All-Star Circuit of Champions this year because he looked good Saturday night.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I got that on the list because I knew you were going. So I figured I figured there was a story behind that whole deal.
It was such a good show. And let me go ahead.
Yeah, we don't want to forget about just give Robbie Henderson a little shout out too. He picked up the UMP Modified feature win as well.
Shall we go over the other power rankings? for this week.
We can do this, but I got one more that's not a really big surprise.
Okay, yeah. Hit our friends in Ohio.
Yeah. Uh, Rusty Schlenk pulls off number 5, Zach, at Attica Raceway Park.
Unreal.
This time with the Valvoline American late model Ironman series.
Did you see
The,
that the other son blew a motor this weekend too?
I saw that too.
Golly. I hope it. I mean, I hope three's not company. You know what I mean?
Is,
Um,
can Rusty run the table at Attica if he goes every? I don't know that he's going to go every week.
yeah, I don't know either. Well, he's gonna run Ironman, so I'm sure he'll miss a show.
Yeah.
But can he run the table every time he shows up? Yeah, probably.
If you haven't gotten beat, it's tough to walk away, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. What does Rusty do? Right? Who knows? All right, let's go
But
over the power rankings.
he's got that 91 flying, man.
Yes, he does. Let's go over the power rankings in the state of Michigan, and we'll backtrack a little bit. This is the Home Pro Roofing winged dirt sprint car power rankings for this season. Great Lakes Super Sprints were in action at Limaland Motorsports Park on Friday, so that did not count. Butler Motor Speedway in action on Saturday. Best that anybody could do was Darren Knighted to collect 10 points. So with 2 Great Lakes Super Sprint shows in the books, Jared Horseman still at the top of the board. Keith Sheffer Jr., who has been the hard charger in both Michigan Cat Division races, is second with 15 points. Dustin Daggett, Mike Keegan, Max Stamball round out the top 5. And then you get Darren Knighted, Scotty Thiel, Bryce Lucius, Phil Gressman, Tyler Gunn, top 10 in the Michigan Wing Dirt Sprint Car portion of things. You went over the Outlaw Super Late Models. Template Late Models, Rich. I was very surprised to find this out. Only one track had Template Late Models on the card this weekend. That was Kalamazoo Speedway. So with 2 shows in the book, grandfathering in Toledo Speedway, Austin Hull still at the top of the power rankings over Dylan Stovall, Kyle Crump, Brent Jack, and Billy Shannon, who won at Kalamazoo, to sit 5th. Tyler Lupton, Trevor Berry, Rick Seneker, Albert Francis, and Blake Rowe, the top 10 in the template late models, the Van Dorn Parts Department template late models. And then for the Howe Racing Enterprises modifieds, very weird weekend for modifieds. Low car count Friday at Corgan Oil Speedway, very low car count Saturday at Birch Run Speedway, with Owasso not running and Midwest Mods not running. Very strange. Very, very strange. Nick Lakota, though, 1 point advantage over David McManus, Nick Clemens, Damian Lytle, Aaron Taylor, top 5, Brad Springer, Michael Liberta Jr., Michael Ashapinti. I have no idea, Michael. I'm sorry. I've never seen your name.
Ochapinti.
Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure, but that's how I've out. Ochapinti. Yeah.
I've got no idea. Ron Hart and Lonnie Sommier in the top 10 in the Howe Racing Enterprises modified power rankings. So there you go. Anything we missed?
Yep. Where's all the modified, Zach? Are they?
Don't know. Owasso,
we got enough of them around here.
Right? Owasso was okay on week 1, and that's why I say it was very strange, because Owasso had a night of destruction on Saturday. So where were all the template cars? Only one track was running them, Kalamazoo. And where were all the modifieds? I don't know if anything was going on at New Paris or down at Plymouth that would have drawn them away. Midwest Mods was not running, so I have no idea where they were.
New Paris had an outlaw show, so I don't know if they would have had modifieds as well.
Strange. Very strange. Complete power rankings will be posted later on this week. You can find all those details and more details on results from the weekend and those major headlines online at horsepowerhappenings.com.
Well, Zach, it's time for our first featured interview tonight, and it's brought to you by Outlaw Racing Supply in Muskegon. This driver, Zach, has a lot of moving parts in 2025, just announced this weekend. We'll get into all that from Fenton, Michigan. Charlie Baur, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Man, talk to me about this. I know you've been running with Must See and everything, and man, to me, that's kind of a flip for you, deciding to go on the dirt. Kind of talk about that, your announcement this weekend.
Yeah, we made two pretty big announcements this weekend. The first one being on Saturday, unveiling the new pavement sprint car for the 2025 Must See Racing season. So we're happy to announce that Stalls Collection and AEV and some of my sponsors from last year signed on board with us, and with the Stalls and AEV sponsorship, especially the Stalls, we redid the entire car, around their brand, and just really happy to have them on the car and look forward to working with them throughout the 2025 season. And then on Sunday, I made the announcement that I will be running select races with the Great Lakes Super Sprints. So kind of touch on your question. I've been racing pavement sprint cars with Must See Racing for 3 years now. And ever since I started racing sprint cars, obviously, I know all about the pavement side. But through that, I've kind of learned more about the dirt, and I've been to some dirt races, and it's always intrigued me and interested me. And now I'm very fortunate to work with Rhino Racing and get the opportunity to drive a dirt sprint car.
And one of us, the younger one of us, of Zach and I, is very interested in that, right? His involvement with Gray Lake Super Sprints. What made you look towards dirt? Was it to expand your abilities? I mean, when I see guys from dirt go to pavement, that's what I think the same way.
It was, I've talked to a lot of the, veteran drivers. Jason Blonde has been huge in my career. And everyone has really said, once you go from the dirt to back to the pavement, your pavement ability is going to be so much better. So that was part of it. And then part of it too is, I just turned 19 a week ago. And it's just running more races. I'm pretty happy with the pavement schedule this year, but, we were looking to run some more races, and obviously being a sprint car driver and doing the pavement, the dirt just seemed like a natural fit.
Talk about the relationship you've built with Jason, obviously a multi-time must-see racing champion, broke that track record at Bristol. There's a lot of things that people think about when they think about Jason Blonde, 2018 Michigan Motorsports Hall of Famer. Before that, he had a great dirt career in the 90s and early 2000s. Now he's back in the dirt side, mixing it up as well. What is your relationship with him, and how did you get, I guess, involved with Jason?
It was kind of funny. We just kind of pitted next to each other at Berlin around 2 years ago. Um, and we've just kind of worked together ever since. I'm a first generation driver, so I've never, had a driver coach or anything like that. And Jason shared with me that he kind of had the same, upbringing in that aspect, and wants to be kind of like a driver coach to myself. And, I asked him, hey, can I just, come crew for you and just see how you run things on dirt, and just to see if that's something I want to get into. And, I'm fortunate, he gave me that opportunity to work on his car and trust me to work on him. And just from that, the relationships just got better and better. And, now that I kind of drive for him in a sense. So it's cool to work with them still. And like I said, I'm just very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in.
All right, let's focus in on one side of this coin. I'm going to go must-see racing side. And so, Rich, let's focus in on our pavement questions right now, and then we'll get back to the dirt. Must-see racing lights was kind of it's a fairly new adventure for the Hanks and for the must-see racing organization. And we talked to Andrew Bogus, a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
kind of about this as well. How does a first generation race car driver like you land in a sprint car? I mean, that's, even if it is a crate motor, it's still a sprint car. How do you get there as a first time race car driver?
I think it was really built on the fact that I've been kind of the open wheel route my whole career. I started racing, when I was 12, but I grew up driving snowmobiles and quads and dirt bikes and things like that. But I raced quarter midgets, when I was 12 to 14. And then we were going to get into a street stock. And my mom said I can't get into a full size car until I got my driver's license. So we went and raced dirt carts for 2 years to fill that gap. And at that time, we were kind of deciding what we want to do. The kart scene, we kind of hit our peak up here at least. To win some of the bigger races, you have to go down to Virginia and North Carolina. And we talked with Jim, and we just kind of got this, deal going, and it worked out. He's from Holly, Michigan. I'm from Fenton. It's about 20 minutes away. And, the schedule, I was still in high school at the time. The schedule worked out really well with me going to high school and, a lot of local tracks. And it was the right place at the right time.
How did you feel about doing it? I mean, anybody these days, if you look at it, if you're waiting until you get your driver's license, you're behind the curve a couple of years, right? There's younger kids, 14, 13 years old, 12 years old,
Mm-hmm.
we driving limited late models and stuff like that. How did you feel about, okay, for the first time on a big car, I'm going to jump in a sprint car?
I was comfortable with it. Obviously I had driven on the road with my license before. Um, but I've always been taught, just drive to my ability, not overdrive the car. But it came down to it being kind of like a big quarter midget. Obviously it's got more horsepower, and, it's a bigger vehicle.
And a little bit more
Um,
downforce.
little bit, but it felt right at home. And in the first years, we struggled a little bit. We didn't really have anyone to lean on. But it was good. It was a school of hard knocks, really. I mean, we'd make a change, and if it was good, we noted it, and if it wasn't good, well, we noted that pretty well. So it was it was just a good experience, and it was just kind of a natural fit, really.
20 career starts in the must see lights, and that's all of them. 8 of 8, 6 of 6, 6 of 6 since 2022. Of those 20 top 10s, 8 top 5s. Still a goose egg in the win category, Charlie. What do you guys feel like you're missing right now on that asphalt program to go to victory lane?
I think last year, what we were missing that we really improved on was our consistency. In 2023, when I placed second at Birch Run and lost by 12 thousandths of a second, that one
Oh,
really stung. Um, we were really inconsistent, in 2023, and that was our big theme of 2024 was improving the consistency. In 2024, my worst finish was fifth, and we were really proud of that. To finish in the top five for all the races, and like I said, we didn't, in 2022 and really half of 2023, we didn't know that much about the car. So I think, obviously going back to the dirt stuff and learning more about sprint cars and, the changes to make, I think, now going forward a year and a half in the future, we're making the right changes. I obviously am a better driver now. I think we're going to bring, a lot to 2025, and I'm excited to get on the track.
was there consideration to go in addition to now obviously you've ran the crate car in some of these races, but was there consideration of 410 must see racing as your next step? Or this is kind of going back to what Rich said, how did the dirt car work into this? You invest in a dirt program versus investing in a 410 pavement program, I guess. Is that still in the future, and why was that the route?
Yeah, I mean, a 410, it could be, potentially in the future. It like I said, the dirt, program just came at the right place at the right time. And obviously, I watch Flow and Dirt Vision and things like that. And just the trend of, dirt sprint cars, moving upward. But really it was about, getting me to new experiences on the dirt, learning how to drive. But like the Midwest Lights, still a dirt chassis. I mean, we still have torsion bars, we still have a Jacobs ladder. They're the same chassis. I mean, obviously they're completely different.
I love
But
that
for
phrase,
us,
right? The same but different.
it is. It just seemed like a more natural fit, and like I said, just right place at the right time. And if an opportunity came up to drive a 410, pavement car, I'd definitely look into it. It's something. Obviously, starting in the pavement, 410 is the highest level you can go. But I just have to weigh all the options and see what we can do.
Charlie, have you guys got any plans, or have you yet tested the dirt car, or are you just going to be trial by fire? Because you show up at a race, you don't get many hot laps
Well,
to try to figure this thing out.
and I want to back up before you answer Rich's question, and that'll be Rich's question because I was there the first time you fired that 360 dirt car.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was just long enough. You were in the car just long enough to turn it around and have it run. How much different was it in just that moment of firing the car at our tech day last month, 2 months ago?
It's definitely louder for sure. I thought the crate engine was loud, and then we fired that thing off, and it sounds weird, but it's louder. But obviously there's twice as many horsepower and things like that. Obviously when I got on the throttle, it was a lot more responsive. But I've this is the pavement racer coming out in me. We really want to test before we make my first race, and really want to just cross our T's and dot our I's, and just make sure everything's good. And obviously, I want to be competitive on the dirt. Starting out, I'm not saying I'm going to go win the first race, but we want to be competitive. And I also don't want to be in someone's way. If they're faster than me, I want to at least be running speeds where they can pass me safely, and I'm not a hindrance for anyone.
Is Charlie? I mean, obviously you've seen. I'm hoping you may seen some of the guys that are running Great Lakes Super Sprints this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talent. Obviously, learning for you, but you have a lot of guys out there, and they're really good at what they do that you can learn from as well.
Yeah, they are. And, I've watched a lot of films on YouTube and things like that of the super sprint. So I've gone to, several races. And obviously, you can tell, who's really competitive. And it's the same thing on the pavement, obviously looking at the drivers who are successful and have wins and championships, it'd be dumb to not, learn from them. So I try to be like a sponge and just soak everything up, that I can from drivers. And, that's one thing, with Must See, everyone's, been really helpful, even starting out and when we really didn't know what we were doing, people were, offering feedback and things like that. And now it's cool to see that, the older drivers are teaching some of the younger drivers. And, now that the age that, Must See went to 14, I mean, there's, 14-year-olds coming in, and it's cool to see them working with other drivers as well.
Should talk to that Stambaugh guy. He runs good once in a while when that's
talking with Charlie Baur, and this interview today brought to you by the folks over at Outlaw Racing Supply. The most recognizable brands and over 3 decades of experience are available for you at Outlaw Racing Supply. Their showroom in Muskegon is home to brands like QA1, Landrum, AFCO, All-Star Performance, Schaefer Oil, and many more. From parts and supplies to shocks and suspension, even race engine updates, repairs, and new builds. Hardcore racing parts are available at Outlaw Racing Supply in Muskegon. Call 231-246-7749. That's 231-246-7749, or log on to outlawracingsupply.com. Charlie, let's talk about what you've seen. Was there a moment that you recall being at a dirt race with Jason or even on your own as a fan and going, that's next. That's what we want to do?
I do. So it was the 2023 All-Star Circuit Champions race at Butler. That was my first dirt sprint car race, my second dirt race ever. So I was completely new to it. I didn't know, what was going to happen. And, I'd seen qualifying and just, to see the dirt flying and the cars sliding, it's just a whole atmosphere in itself. And, the feature started and, there's guys sliding each other, and it was just a really cool thing for me. And I'm like, I got to do that one day. And just from there, the seed was placed, and it's growing to more and more.
I got to ask you this, because this kind of builds from, I went to Butler on Saturday and checked in with Jason and Phil and those guys with Rhino Racing. And I talked to Jason Blonde, and, there's a lot of guys there that got rained out at Eldora or some other places. So there were some heavy hitters, right? Some big names there. And I said, Jason, what do you need? And he goes, I need to be more aggressive, plain and simple. Like, I'm too timid. And I'm thinking to myself, 50 years old, inductee into the Hall of Fame. This cat has won a lot of sprint car races, and he's talking about not being aggressive enough. Charlie, what do you make of that? And dirt racing in general, you talk about the sliders and the crossovers, and the margin for error is so small. I'm not educated enough on the pavement sprint car scene to say that it's smaller than what happens in must-see racing, but it sure feels like it, the way that these guys race out there sometimes, that it's a lot faster pace and a lot more aggressive than what you're used to right now.
Yeah, I think, obviously the pavement and the dirt's different. I mean, pavement, we carry a lot of speed going in the corner and we can hold it. We're really not sliding the car, on the dirt. And obviously we don't have to worry about dirt and rocks and things like that. But I think whether, you're on dirt or pavement, I'm a little biased, but I think sprint cars are the best race cars out there. Wing or non-wing, I'm a wing guy myself. Just to see the wings and the cars, they go 3-4 wide, or you do a crossover or slide job or things like that. It just makes it exciting racing. And on like I said, on the dirt and the pavement, they're just so different. But like I said, they're still the same, and just
well, I guess I guess I'll be blunt, Charlie. Do you think that you've got what it takes to throw a slider? That maybe not right now because you're still learning, but or to even be slid and cross a guy over. Like, I mean, is that part of the mental adjustment that you're having to make to get ready for this start?
There's a little bit of mental adjustment. On pavement, we do crossovers, and especially in quarter midgets, that was how you passed. You talk to anyone who raced quarter midgets, and if you didn't do crossovers, you didn't, move forward. So I'm not too concerned on the crossovers, but having to learn the changing of the track and the different lines, and having to deal with the cushion and things like that, that's going to be new for me. And then also the surface is going to be rougher. I'm used to going to Owasso Speedway, and it's
Yeah.
the smoothest road in Michigan, and we go to a dirt track somewhere, it may be bumpy, and that's just something I'm going to have to get used to, and I'm prepared to learn that.
Charlie, you can help me educate Zach a little bit on the pavement side, because I try to help him out. I've been doing that for years, right? When you go fast on pavement and you screw up in the corner, you hit a wall and it doesn't move. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At dirt racing, very few dirt tracks have walls in the corners. So something happens, you might flip it, you take it back to the pits, put a new wing on it, and you can probably be ready to go or be able to strap some new parts on it. That's what I'm thinking. I've seen some wicked flips, and guys come right back out after getting in the pits in about an hour, and they're ready to go again. A pavement car, you are done for the night.
Yeah, you are, and I think it goes back to a lot of these pavement cars. A lot of the parts are specialty built. Obviously, the bodies on them, they're all handmade. A lot of the body panels on my car, we redid last year, and they're all handmade. I mean, we can't just go online and buy them somewhere. It just it goes back to what a lot of the pavement guys, they show up and they have spare parts, but you go to a dirt race and they have 4 top wings and 4 front wings and 4 front, and, it's just a different mentality.
Now, Rich asked about, and you mentioned too, that you kind of want to get a test in before you go out there and compete. The plan was to do that Sunday, yesterday, down at Fremont, but Mother Nature had other things in mind. Well, now the season's here. Regardless if they reschedule that test or not, for you guys down there. What are you thinking? I mean, do you try to just tag on to a hot lap session, start trunk of a heat race, just get some laps, or what is the plan now moving forward for the debut of the dirt car?
Yeah, we're still discussing it, and I've talked with Jason and Phil and the entire Rhino Racing team, and they're behind whether I go test again or we just tag it along hot laps. But we're still discussing it. We, like I said, we just want to be smart about the decisions and going test. And I know I went to the Fremont school that Mike and Steve Linder put on, and it's a great course, and I'd recommend it to anyone. And I think they bring a lot to the table and can help myself, driving. And I think it'd be good to go test. But like I said, it's still in discussion, and Rhino Racing has my back no matter what.
I think it's pretty cool, Charlie. And I'm sure I don't know if you've totally grasped this, but not everybody gets an opportunity with somebody like Rhino Racing, and to be able to lean on a guy like Jason Blond, one of the best to ever jump in a sprint car. I don't care if it's on pavement or dirt. Do you realize the opportunity you have to learn from him?
I do, but I also, I'm just extremely grateful, to be in the position that I'm in. I want to thank, everyone on Rhino Racing, from Jason Blond to Phil Renault, to Dustin, Graham and Matt Heath, and just the entire crew. And, they've just welcomed me on, with open arms. And like I said, I just can't thank them enough. And, I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in. And, I'm also great. I'm also grateful to have, companies like, Stahl's Collection backing me and supporting me, both on my dirt and my pavement car.
That's another question that just occurred to me. So we keep mentioning Rhino Racing, kind of a satellite partner of Rhino Racing, right? I mean, this is a car that they ran last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're helping you out with a motor and some stuff. Chassis might be your guys's, but regardless, who is turning the wrenches on this deal? Because I know that Dustin Boots, better known to a lot of us, is
Yep.
helping Jason's deal. Is he going to be responsible for both of your cars when you show up?
So the agreement right now is, as long as we have people to turn wrenches, they'll help support and, tell us, some changes to make. But right now the crew is my parents, myself, and I'm starting to bring along my friend Colton Anderson on and get him, acclimated to sprint cars. And he's new to it, and we're trying to bring him up as fast as I can. But for the first 3 years of my career, it was my parents and myself. So I've put a lot of pride in the fact that I've torn the car down twice on the pavement side. We built the dirt car as well with Jason and his team. But understanding how everything goes together, and I'm a car guy at heart, so I like working on cars, and driving's my favorite part.
Yeah.
But understanding how the car goes together is really important for me. And even on our team side, Charlie Baur Racing, I've put a lot of focus on the business side, which whether it's managing our social media, our marketing, managing sponsorship funds, working deals, or becoming dealers for brands and products. I just try to engulf myself in all areas of the business, and I think it's going to help me out a lot down the road.
So no crew chief or tire specialist to speak of yet.
Nope, not yet, but we're always looking. So if anyone out there, can bring something to Charlie Baur Racing, let me know.
Rich, what are you doing on the weekends? You want to grind tires at a dirt
Oh,
track?
like we don't have enough to do, Zach, right? We don't have near enough to do on the weekends to add a race team to my schedule, right?
Oh man. Well, you kind of went over it, Charlie. I guess first, Rich, do you have anything else before we let Charlie get out of here?
No, I just thought it was cool, Charlie. You and like Zach had mentioned, we had Andrew Bogus on the show, and you guys have kind of grown up together and kind of split off different ways now, right? You came up together, and now he decided to go to the pavements, stay with the pavement side stuff, and you're coming over to the dirt. That's pretty cool, both of you guys, the way it's worked out.
Yeah, it has been. It's been good. I mean, obviously we're the same age, so we went through school together and everything like that. But like I said, dirt's just I've always had a passion for it, especially seeing that first All-Star race at Butler. It's just something that I want to do, and obviously we're still two different people, and we have two different things, and I wish him the best in his career. And we're, like I said, we're still going to run full-time pavement this year with Must See, and make select starts in dirt, and just see where my career goes from there.
It just occurred to me, by the way, there's a pretty darn good non-wing sprint car driver in your town, and he doubles as a pretty good crew chief as well. You gonna call up old Flying Irwin anytime and see what he's doing?
We might have to. We actually go to a lot of the same local car shows, so we may have to get in contact with him soon.
There you go. Well, you mentioned it a couple times. I want to give you an opportunity just to make sure you got them all. Who makes it possible for you to do what you're going to do this year in 2025?
Yeah, I wouldn't be, where I am, especially this year without, great family and friends, and all my sponsors, those being Stahl's Collection, American Expedition Vehicles, Lucida Manzella, Hefner Racing Products, which I'm also a dealer of Hefner Racing Products. So any of your sprint car parts, or trailer parts and accessories, hit me up. We can get a good deal. But also, Justice Brothers, TBM Brakes, Motor City Pawnbrokers, Racer Wraps, and as well as Rhino Racing. Like I said before, Jason, Phil, Boots, Matt, just the entire team, everyone in that pit area. Everyone's been amazing and welcomed me with open arms, and just can't thank them enough for all their help and support.
All right, Charlie. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming on the show tonight, and can't wait to watch you unload that 23 car. Who knows? Maybe Friday night, I-96 Speedway. Tag on to some hot laps, heat race. Listen, there's a lot of room there. There's no wall like Rich was talking about. You got room to make a mistake. You can probably get in, 4 or 5 laps before they start lapping you in the heat race. So I just had to pull your chain there. Charlie, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Time for our next featured interview tonight. This is brought to you by Independence Heating and Cooling, Southern Michigan's Bryant dealer. She picked up her first career win and beat out her husband to do it, which I think is just fantastic. Saturday night at Crystal Motor Speedway. Bree Wonch, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Hi.
Welcome. And I tell you what, this was so cool. We posted the results on Sunday of what happened at Crystal, and everybody was on there congratulating you and like, you got to get her on the podcast. This is so cool. Just talk about what the last, 48 hours have been like for you. You win an IMCA Modified race at Crystal, and everybo's loving this thing. How's it been for you?
It's been pretty good. People have came out of the works coming up to congratulate me. I couldn't believe it. My family, friends that were down there in the winner's circle, it was loaded. The car was covered. And then driving through the pits, several people came out, stopped me, fist bumped me, hugged me, congratulated me. I think the whole top 5 came over, told me good job. I got some messages on Facebook from several modified drivers that's been in the class forever. just everybody congratulating me.
That is so cool. Talk about the race on Saturday. I think, and Brian and I have talked about this, Brian LeBaron, sometimes if somebody wins from the front, oh, the track wasn't any good. Anybody could have won from up there. You had to work for it a little bit. I think started second row, if I recall correctly, and had to kind of work over the leader a little bit. I saw your in-car footage. Talk about your race on Saturday. It was pretty good.
Well, it was the first race this season that I was actually able to make the inversion. So was able to be in the redraw. So I was started second row outside, fourth position. On the start, the outside lane did go. So I was able to get by the pole sitter and the third place car. Then I was behind Jeremy Raby for it was about 4 laps, just working the bottom. I feel like the high side was the place to be. It was a little rough around the bottom, but nothing compared to what it has been. I mean, you
You
could
guys,
still run
just
it.
real quick to paint the picture, did you guys go before or after late models this week?
After we were last, we were the
Okay.
last.
Oh,
Yep.
so the track was pretty worked in then.
It was, but there was still some tackiness around the bottom, middle to bottom. Around the high side, it was starting to get slick off towards the end of the race, but I just worked the bottom and was persistent and was able to get by him. And then I moved up a little bit and I just said, I got to get going, got to get away from these guys.
What are you thinking? I mean, your husband's back in the field, right? And then it's not like there's nobody in this field. You got Jeff Rhea who wins a ton of races. What are you thinking when you finally take the lead? Are you up there? Are you calm, or are you wondering, oh, are these guys going to come and get me any minute now?
I mean, I feel like this was actually the first race that I did stay calm, and I was just like, Austin always tells me, get out of your head, get out of your head. Because, I mean, they are fast. We have a bunch of very fast guys in the modified class. I mean, some of them have been racing forever. They're good. They don't mess up. They're hard to beat. It's highly competitive. Um, where was I going with that?
Well, he wanted to know how you were feeling on
Oh,
Saturday
oh.
with the field bearing down on you.
So I did remain calm, but I did say I got to get going, got to get away from these guys because I'm in every corner. I'd look down a little bit. Can I see anyone's nose? Can I hear anyone? And I never could, but I didn't know I was that far ahead.
Did they have the scoreboard put in yet at Crystal?
No.
Oh, okay. So you didn't know who was coming. That's why I was asking that, is because we've talked to guys who are like drivers who say, "Well, I was looking at the scoreboard and I see this number moving up or this number moving up," and
That scoreboard, Zach, is handy when you're leading a race.
well,
Trust me.
that's kind of what I was getting at. And so I wondered, Austin had to come from eighth. Was
Hmm.
there a point where you knew that he was back there?
No, I had no idea he was in second.
Not well. Hey, sometimes that's all right. Um, what was the race like? I mean, did you have to go through any restarts or anything like that, or did it go green to checker for you?
We had 2 cautions. The first one came out. I was coming out of turn 2, and I seen a car fly back over the backstretch coming back onto
Oh,
the track, and I was like, "Oh Lord, I'm catching up to lap traffic." And I'm not the greatest in traffic, making my way through there, so I was kind of thinking a caution would have been good. So I was happy a caution came out, but after watching the video, I mean, I was ahead like a half a track when that caution came out, but I didn't know that. So when it came out, I just said, just keep hitting your marks and go. And I did that. And then we caught up to lap traffic again, and I passed one car, and then the caution came out again. And I just kept going. I never seen anyone's nose under me.
nice.
Or, yeah.
Any pressure on you when you're leading the feature, you're going after your first win. Obviously, that's big for anybody. And on a restart, you have to pull off a quality restart because you just everybody closed the gap on you. They're all over you now. Any gap you had is gone.
Yeah.
How did you manage being able to pull off such good restarts?
I don't know because I usually struggle in that area. I just said hit my marks. I know I wanted to make sure I closed off the bottom door, come around the high side, go down a little bit, move back up. But I mean, from watching the video, it didn't seem like, I mean, they weren't right there on my tail. So I must have done something right.
I want to get into your history a little bit, but I want to stick with current history right now. This is a huge swing from what the first 2 weeks looked like for you You
Yeah.
talk about this being the first time that you're actually in the invert. First 2 weeks do not look good on paper. Both of them have positions with DNFs next to them. What happened those first 2 weeks getting started?
The first week, I had a good run. I was mid pack. I didn't make the inversion, so I started in the back, but my car was decent. There was some character to the track, is what it is.
Yep.
I was running the high side, and I mean, you take that chance when you're hitting the berm, just try not to go over it, and I accidentally did.
Ah,
So,
little christening for the year.
yeah. So I went off it, came back on, made a few laps, and then I decided to pull in because I wasn't going anywhere. But I mean, I wasn't mad. I just try again next week.
Sometimes you gotta balance what you're learning and what you're capable of versus what might happen to your race car. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, our funding isn't the best. We do what we can. So if I can save my equipment, I'm going to do it. If I'm not going anywhere, I would rather just pull in, save my tires, save my fuel.
Similar situation on week 2 then?
Yeah, week two, the track was a little bit drier. Or was that week two? I don't know. The last weekend, I had to run a B main.
Oh
I
man.
found myself in the B main, yeah. So started way in the back of that, and the track did slick off a little bit, and we missed our setup. I had no traction off, and so I ended up pulling in. Yeah.
Bree, I've been around racing. I mean, like, we were talking before. Zach and I have both raced. I raced for 25 years, and I've seen a lot of drivers win their first race. And all of a sudden, after that happens, all the fast guys start racing them differently, right? Now that you've proved to them you can win on any given night. How are you going to deal with these guys now? Because they're not going to probably give you anything.
Well, I just always say I'll race you how you race me. If you want to play that game, I'll play too. But I like most of the field does race me clean, and I hope that continues. I mean, I'm gonna be respectful to them as they're respectful to me.
And I think too without I don't know, it's such a tough question that Rich is trying to ask because it's not like they're going to lay over for you anyhow because this is racing, but I think it's almost like now those other competitors, the Jeffrias and let's throw your husband in there because he is another competitor and the DeYoungs and these guys. Now you're another car that they know can win. Now maybe they throw sliders on you going in, where before they may have just waited and passed you down the straightaway or something like that. Do you expect any of that, or have you experienced that before, like back in your pro stock and pro truck days, or anything like that? Like after you've shown speed, that okay, now everybody amplifies their game around me.
I mean, I feel like they've been racing that way against me since I started anyway,
Sure.
and maybe I am wrong, but um, I don't think they're gonna take it easy just because I don't know. I think that they raced me the same anyway.
I want to get into your background. I mentioned the pro stocks and pro trucks. I want to talk about what you've done up to this point in just a second. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsor for the night, Independence Heating and Cooling. They are Southern Michigan's Bryant dealer now through the end of May. When you install a home furnace or air conditioner, you'll get your choice of a whole home humidifier. Say that 3 times fast. Honeywell 4-inch air filter cabinet or Bryant UV germicidal lamp for free. Any one of those things for free. That's a nearly $500 value. If you do a furnace and air conditioner at the same time, if you're somebody like me who does not have central air and your furnace is older than time, probably should get in on this. When you do that, you'll get your choice of 2 free items from that list. That's a nearly $1,000 value. That's only at Independence Heating and Cooling, Southern Michigan's Bryant dealer. Bryant, whatever it takes. Now, if you look up Bree Wonch on My Race Pass, it goes back to 2017, 2016 with race results. Is that the beginning of your racing career, or is there more to the story?
There's a little bit more to the story. I started in 2012. I was 12 years old. I started in the front wheel drive 4-cylinder Flynn stock class at Crystal. Raced that for 2 years, and then I did move up to a pro truck for 2013 and 2014. But I raced that half to 3/4 of a season, just funding and the owner. Wasn't working out. So I stopped racing from 2016 until 2020, or Yeah, 2020, just on and off. If
Sure.
someone asked me to drive their car, I would hop in, you know. But then I bought my own pro truck again in 2020 and raced that for 2 years. And then I took over Austin's Shaw Modified in 2022. It was my rookie of the year. We got him a new to us modified. And then I've just been in the modified since.
What was the when you go to 2022 and I don't know how the conversation went. Maybe that's the first question is how does that conversation go? Does Austin come to you and say, "Hey, I need a new car. Do you want to run this one or do we sell it to get money to buy the new chassis?" Like how did that conversation go between you two?
Well, he always liked the Shaw. I mean, he was fast in a Shaw right when it was right out of the shop. But he was good right when he got it, and then a year or two later he'd fade out. So he was like, I want to try something different, a different chassis, and a good deal came up that we could afford. So we had talked. I always wanted to get in a modified. It's just the class I like.
Now,
Um,
in the timeline here, 2021, you have a open modifieds win listed here on in my race pass. Is that accurate?
2021.
Yeah.
I did race his car one time, but I don't think I won.
Was it like well, it wouldn't have been a powder puff because you have a racing background.
I
Hmm.
don't remember. I can't remember.
All right. Says you started third, finished first.
Maybe it was a powder puff. Was
Okay.
it at 96?
That says Crystal.
Oh,
Confusion.
maybe it was an open show.
Yeah,
I'm not
it does say open modifieds.
Was
Yeah,
it on like a Sunday?
probably. Yeah, September. Yep. Early
Yeah,
September.
probably. I did race Austin's car but I
Looks
don't.
like beat out Brooke, Bassington, John Clark, Brenton DeYoung, and Derek Goikema. Were the
Goki.
top five. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been just the open show on a Sunday, the Labor Day weekend. I did race his car one time, but I didn't think I won, but my
Hey,
memory's shot, I guess.
you got credit for a win, girl. So take it.
Okay.
Uh,
Bree, I like asking the questions, getting into the driver's head a little bit. What's this do for you now with the confidence? I mean, you go from, like Zach said, you had a DNF, you said you're in the B main, the first, and now you're in the invert, you win the, you win the A. What's that do for your confidence now? It's got to be huge for you.
I mean, it's definitely boosted my confidence. I don't think I'm terrible, I'm on pace and I can hold a lane, but just racing with these guys, they're good, it's competitive, and it's sometimes like maybe I don't have it anymore, but I mean, when the car is set up and it feels good, I hit my marks, I mean, I can do it. So I mean, it has helped my confidence, yeah.
how does this do you for lineups now? Because for folks who don't know, Crystal lines up their cars kind of based on points and on loyalty to the racetrack. This win, according to my race pass, now moves you into 10th in points. By the way, only 18 points back from Nate Patrick there, if I'm reading this correctly. What does that do for you now on a weekly basis as far as the lineup is concerned?
So I think it goes by average over, I think it's either 2 or 3 weeks, your point average, which this last weekend, yes, I got a win, but the 2 weeks before that, I did not finish very good. So I'm assuming if I make the inversion, I hope so. I'll start mid pack, I'm assuming.
So the inversion. So explain this. So explain a race night to me at Crystal. You run your heat race. How are the heat races lined up? Is that pill draw at the beginning of the night, or is that
Ye-
part of the points deal?
Honestly, I don't know how heats are lined up.
Sweet. All right, we're all on the same page. Show up
Yeah.
and race.
I don't
Okay.
know about heats, but yeah, the features, it's the points average.
Okay. Because I was wondering how did you start fourth this week? With a 10th and then the two DNFs. I was trying to come up with that.
My point average must have been pretty low, which it makes sense because I didn't finish the couple weeks before that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, and that would explain going back to, the fast guys are coming and this to me, what Rich was talking about is, you know, with IMCA modifieds, it's a little bit different than dirt late models and dirt sprint cars are right now. Those restarts are sometimes a bad thing for the person who's leading, and you survived them and you were able to get through traffic and you passed cars to get to the front. And I'm just kind of piggybacking off of Rich's thing that, man, oh man, watch out for that 10 car now the rest of the season. I don't know. Are you feeling that way?
I mean, I hope.
You can have a little cocky and confidence is a fine line, right? Like,
Sounds like she's still in a little bit of shock, Zach. A little
well,
bit of
that's what
I
shock still
am.
hanging
I
around.
am.
yeah. Well, did it make it any sweeter or any more enjoyable when you got out of the car and you watch the in-car video and Austin's already down there waiting on you? You pull into victory lane. Hey, where'd you finish? Oh, second. You beat me, honey. How was that? How was that conversation?
So once we got the checkered, he came up and got under me, and I seen him like fist bumping, but I still didn't know he would finish second. I knew he was somewhere in there, and he pulled down first. I pulled in, and I was taking my stuff off, and he was at my window before I was even able to get my helmet off, and he's let's go, like he was super pumped, and I was like, where'd you finish? I always want to know. He's like, second. I was like, oh, were you on my tail? That's the first thing I said because I figured he was. And he's like, no, I couldn't catch you.
Nice.
And I
Nice.
was like, thank God.
That
Well,
is
that's
awesome.
good. I'll tell you what, it's a lot better for you, him finishing second than back there in 12th. Okay. That's way better for you to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked too, like, when we talk to the Hillikers, brothers and uncles and things like that. I think there's a misconception that sometimes family would let you have one, and I tend to disagree. I raced against my dad for a couple of years, and I never was rougher on somebody else than somebody that was in the family, right? Like you want to beat family, sometimes worse than you want to beat anybody else. But I've never raced against my wife. So how was that? I mean, was there a little turn of the screws back in the pits or anything like that?
We were throwing some daggers at each other, and everybody was, "Oh, your wife beat you." He got a lot of shit for it, but he doesn't care. He's happy when I do good, when he does good, when we do good.
Yeah.
One and two finish, him or me, it doesn't really matter. It's still a good night. But he said, I should have just started telling people I let you win, and I was like, "Oh, don't
Oh.
even go there. We will fight."
We can get him some vinyl made, Bree, if you'd like, that says my wife has more feature wins than I do. Because
Yes.
currently he has a goose egg in the win column. All right. You do not.
He does.
Let's talk about now, moving forward. What do the rest of your 2025 plans look like? It looks like you guys are pretty committed to Crystal. Do you have anything else that you'd like to go and do? I know I've seen Austin. We talked about before we started. We watched him win a big show at Winston, and I've seen him unload at 96 and some other places. Do you guys have anything else planned for this season, or pretty stuck with Crystal?
We just do what we feel like doing for the week. We do like going to I-96. We like making the trip there. Just 2 nights a week with two cars and pretty much just our two, just him and I. It makes it a little difficult racing twice a week, but we will make it out to I-96 once or twice this season, maybe a couple more times. Um, Saturday, usually we are committed to Crystal just because it's 10 minutes away. It's our home track.
Yeah.
And our
And the
family and
LeBarons
friends
are
are
doing
there.
great things there, by the way. I didn't mean when I said stuck with Crystal, that's not how I meant it. I mean, it's like when it's close to home, that's kind of where you go.
Yeah, and our family friends are always there. Um, but so probably Saturdays will probably be committed to Crystal, maybe Thunderbird once, I don't know, big show, but
Mhm.
and I know Mount Pleasant is not now IMCA, so may make a trip there. We don't know. We just play it by ear.
Nice.
Zach, Brian will call you tomorrow and say, "What do you mean stuck at my racetrack?"
I
I'm
know.
telling you,
That's why I corrected that.
you're getting the call
I
from him
know.
tomorrow
I've got
morning.
the star next to my name in Brian's contact list. I know I do. How was the crowd on Saturday? We've talked with, like Taylor Ferns and back when Katie Hettinger was racing, and we would kind of ask this. You just kind of became an idol now. Even before the win, there's a bunch of girls in the stand, little girls, 5, 10 years old, who want to race mini wedges or want to race big cars, and they hear Bree Wonch and one of the sole female competitors in the field tonight, and now they're locked in on what you're doing, and you go to victory lane. Did anybody come talk to you or anything like that? And does that, I don't know, responsibility resonate with you, I guess?
I have a few fans, little girls that I love that they look up to me. I love when they come up to me, wish me luck. There's one in particular I do want to give a shout out to is Lainey. She always comes up, fist pumps me. Nate Jones's little girl. Good luck, have fun, be safe, she says. And
Nice.
she's doing good things in the mini wedge. I love seeing it. I love girls being in the sport, doing what we love. Yeah.
Because you were, I mean, you talk about 2012, 12 years old. You were that little girl at one point, I assume.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you have a female competitor that you looked up to or you latched onto or anything?
I mean, my mom used to race, so I always looked up to her. My sister raced. I mean, I was one of her biggest fans. She still, when she steps and gets inside the car, she can still put on a show. Um, yeah, my family really is just
Cool. Cool. Rich, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I was just I just wanted to tell her congratulations one more time. We think it's awesome. We love having a first time winner on the show, male or female, but it's always a little bit better when the female wins, right?
Right. Stick it to
And,
the man.
yeah, just to stick it to them once in a while. But Bree, we want to give you a chance to thank all the people that helped you get there.
yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I'll have to thank my husband, Austin Wonch. I mean, without him, we probably wouldn't. I mean, it's just him and I. We work pretty hard to get both cars going. I'd like to say I probably wouldn't be able to do it without him, but I may. No, I'm just kidding. So Austin, and then I want to say
If we keep ribbing him, you might find out this week if you can do it without him. He might say, "To hell with you, girl. You figure it out."
no, I don't think he would. I think my sponsors, Bees Towing out of Gowan. He's new to the towing business. Give him a shout out if you need anything towed. Amy Sue Hill with Century 21 Realty. She's helped us buy, sell our homes. She does a great job. Crystal Clear Water Well Systems out of Crystal, Michigan. Lash Out with Janaea out of Crystal, Michigan. Brody Bowser Racing and Donnie's Garage are my sponsors that I would like to thank.
Bree, is there anywhere that folks can follow along with what you and Austin have going on?
Yeah, you can like our Facebook page. It's just Bree and Austin Wonch Racing. On there, I try to be good about weekly updates and yeah.
And I found today, you're a TikTok star, so you got that going for you.
I don't know about that. It takes me a while to make some videos, but I'm trying.
Cool, cool. Well, Bree, we appreciate you accepting the invite. We know it took a little convincing to do so, but we're glad that you could do it. And congratulations again. Looking forward to seeing you put a couple more wins on the board this year.
Thank you.
All righty, Rich. Let's take a look at that upcoming calendar of events. If you don't mind, I'll start. Friday,
Okay.
I-96 Speedway welcomes back the Great Lakes Super Sprints, and it's the season opener for the Great Lakes Traditional Sprints alongside IMCA Modified Street Stocks and Compacts. It's the Mother's Day Battle of the Sprints. Gates at 5, racing scheduled to go off at 8 o'clock on Friday night at I-96. And for the first time all season, shh, don't say it too loud. The weather looks really good for Friday. We've had
Don't do it, Zach. Don't do it.
We've had
Don't do it.
3 weeks of racing that have been like, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to get it in? It looks perfect for Friday. So grab mom, come on out and check out what's happening at I-96 Speedway if you're in that neck of the woods. Or you can go see my buddy Rich France on Friday.
Yeah, busy day. Friday and Saturday I get to work. The lucky me, right? For coming back. Toledo Speedway, School Bus Figure 8, night number 1. They'll have 2 of them in 2025. The late model Sportsman on the half mile will also be in action along with the factory stock and the lovable boat figure 8 race. That'll be on tap. 7:30 p.m. start Friday at Toledo.
All right. Saturday, I'm gonna add a couple things to what you've got on there already. I'll go first with the addition, and then we can go back to the script. Great Lakes Traditional Sprints, night number 2, Saturday at Butler Motor Speedway is what I wanted to add. So green flag flies at 7:30 at Butler. I believe gates open at 4 or 5 o'clock for the front gates at Butler Motor Speedway. Saturday night Traditional Sprints, night number 2 of the weekend.
Yep. And then Crystal Motor Speedway, we're celebrating moms again on both days, Zach. Celebrating our mom's night at Crystal. Any mom who brings a child in gets in free. That is cool.
Yeah,
that is really awesome. Midwest Compact Touring Series will be in the house. Late models, IMCA Mod, Street Stocks, Flint Stocks, Pro Stocks, and Mini Wedges. A full docket along with the National Midwest Compact Touring Series. Gates open at 4 at Crystal and racing at 7 p.m. And then
well, I was going to give you a break because I was going to say the other thing going on this weekend. It's a busy weekend, Rich.
Yes.
Great Lakes Lightning Sprints open the 2025 season on Saturday. They will be in action at Silver Bullet Speedway up in Owendale. Pits open at 4, grandstands at 5:30, green flag on the night, waves at 7 o'clock. Lightning Sprints alongside the Pro Lates, Bullet Stocks, Michigan Stocks, Road Warriors, and Mini Wedges.
Then we jump to Saturday, and if anybody knows about the Motor City Madmen, these figure eight guys, these are not your parents' figure eight cars, okay?
Oh.
This is not what you see anywhere else. 50 laps, 50 lap figure eight feature for the Motor City Madmen and the Motor City 50 on Saturday night. Outlaw Super Late Models, 50 laps, Street Stocks, 25 laps, 4 p.m. start still for early spring at Flat Rock Speedway.
Yeah, the sprint car guy in the group, Derek Bean, was asking about start time for Saturday. Are you gonna see a Bean appearance Saturday at Flat Rock from the sprint car guy?
I don't know. I made sure I updated him on the group chat, so he should be well aware that it's a 4 p.m. start.
All right, that's gonna do it for tonight's program. I want to say thank you to Charlie Baur and Bree Wonch for making time to join us on the program. By the way, I want to clarify for Saturday at Butler, just like when the super sprints are there, this is traditional non-wing sprints and their 410 wing sprints with 4 cylinders. That's the card. 2 classes of sprint cars, 4 cylinders. See you later. Have a good night. 7:30 racing starts. Gates open at 4.
You should get plenty of sleep that night. They should run that thing in a hurry.
Well, I'm going to Anderson for the JGCRA All-Stars Tour.
Oh.
Remember that? Yeah, that's going on Saturday as well. So I'll be.
Yeah, I got out of that.
You want back in it?
No, I'm good. I just got back home. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go on the road again yet.
All right. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to Bree. On behalf of Scott Miller, who pays the bills, Rich France, my co-host. Welcome back, my friend. Glad to have you back on the show.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you same time, same place next week, right here on Horsepower Happenings.